What is up, and welcome to the podcast where I talk everything racist. I will name off my favorite racist slurs, and hopefully, I get to hear on what your guys' favorite slurs are. No, welcome back to the podcast. It's me, just me actually this week, because everyone else is busy, and I could have skipped a week where I just didn't do the podcast, and because I know not that many people listen to it, which is okay. um, but I'm like, you know what? No, I'll try to do another one by myself, and mostly because I have quite a few things on my mind. I'm in Orange County right now. If you do hear like water running in the background, I apologize. My father has decided to purchase two very large like aquarium, like fish tanks. They're fucking enormous. He bought one first and then another one later, both of them on Craigslist, and I don't know how he managed to do it, but they're both the exact same model of the like of the aquarium or whatever. I have no idea how he managed to do that, but he did. So if you do hear water running in the background and it makes you want to go pee, or me want to go pee because I've been drinking a lot of water, I do apologize. Anyways, just a few things on my mind. Like I said, like first things like that comes to mind was like the Mac Miller, his untimely death, and hold on. Okay. Anyways, one thing I'd like I don't think I'm the best person to talk about Mac Miller's death. Mostly because I didn't really listen to his music. I wasn't like his number one fan, or even a big fan for that matter. Like I barely knew any of his songs, and so I'm not gonna be that type of person that says like, oh, like rest in peace, Mac. I mean, obviously rest in peace, but like I'm not gonna be those people that are like mourning, or like they claim to be like super huge fans and they're super upset that Mac Miller's gone, when in reality they didn't really listen to his music, and they're just sort of like tagging along to the grief of his death, which I think personally is like really fucked up. It's not fair, mainly to the people that did listen to him and that did truly love him, and not just his fans, but obviously his family as well, and his friends. And I guess I have more to say about the aftermath of his death, really, because what I've noticed is people are blaming Ariana Grande, which is really fucked up. And really, it's the most fucked up thing out of everything, because the aftermath, obviously, like it would have been much better for him not to die. But the most fucked up thing is that I see that people are blaming Ariana Grande. I saw this one tweet that you saw about how like, oh, she's a dangerous woman, she really left him during like a low point, she drove him to like a heavier drug use, and when in reality, from what I've gathered, is that the reason they broke up is because she couldn't watch someone that she loved so much do that to themselves. You know, he was already a drug user, and she could not handle watching someone that she loved do that to themselves, and that's completely rational like thinking. That's how adult relationships work. If someone else, if the other's behavior is affecting you or it's making you upset, then that's toxic, and you have every right to leave, if that makes sense. And I don't think that she had anything to do with that. You know, we really won't know if that overdose was either accidental or on purpose, like a suicide. We won't ever know. But I think it's very much unlikely that it was because of Ariana Grande, and because she got engaged really quickly to Pete Davidson. I don't think that's the reason. I think there was a lot of things that had to do with it, but definitely that wasn't the reason why, and it's really fucked up. And I saw on Twitter this morning that she's in the hospital because of just the harassment that she's received from, Mac Miller quote unquote fans, have been like just berating her on all social media, blaming her. And can you imagine how fucked up that is? Because someone that she loves has just recently passed away from the thing that made her upset the most during their relationship. Can you imagine how painful that must be? Just in and of itself. And then add on top of that all these fucking losers that are on her social media just fucking blaming her for something that clearly isn't her fault. That's so fucked up. And I know that my opinion doesn't really matter. Like, I'm not someone really important. I'm just a fucking dumbass. But, like, in all honesty, I think it's something that I've wanted to get off my chest. And I can't just tweet about it. Because, like, what the fuck is Twitter, right? Like, I'm no one on Twitter. And I'm no one on here either. But I feel like voicing my opinions in a vocal way, I guess, like, I guess to me it just feels more effective. I don't know. But that's all I really have to say. Like, I can't really, like, pretend that I was this huge Mac Miller fan, because I wasn't. You know, he, of course, I'm not going to deny that he was talented. He, of course, was talented. You know, I don't know if it's bad, but I did check out his music after, in the aftermath, and he was very talented. And it of course is a tragedy that he passed away so young. But I think it's really fucked up, and it's time to fucking stop blaming Ariana for something that isn't her fault, because it's already hard enough for her. Yeah, it's already, like, hard enough for her. But yeah, I guess enough about that. That was just really dark. And I guess it's just something that I've had on my mind lately, and I haven't really talked to anyone about it, because I guess it's like a segue into, like, how my week's been going. Just lonely. Like, on Monday, today's Friday, on Monday, like, I went to Disneyland with Tala, the person I usually do this podcast with, and my friend Flan, and Tala's brother, because it was his birthday. Shout out to Sammer, because it was his birthday. Happy birthday. But then after that, like, my week kind of died down. I didn't do anything. I was really bored. And unfortunately, like, when I spend a lot of time by myself, like, I don't mean to sound weird or anything, but, like, I go to a pretty dark place in my mind. And that's something, like, that's a conversation that I want to have, like, later on, whether it's on this podcast or not, about how fucked up, because, like, you see, like, everything in my life is going great. You know, I have a certain amount of jobs. I have, like, 4 jobs, and they're all stable, and they're all great. I enjoy them. And I'm not struggling right now for money. You know, I wouldn't say that I'm rich or anything like that, but I'm, you know, I live comfortably. Shout out to Evelyn. I live comfortably. And I just got a new car. I live in a fairly secure place. My family's together. Everything's really going. I'm like, I have everything that honestly anyone could ever realistically ask for, when it comes to, like, the basic necessities, plus a little bit of luxury. You know, like, no one really needs an iPhone 10, but I have one. You know, no one really needs a new car. Like, you can easily buy a used car, but no one really needs a new car, like, straight from the dealership. But I have that. I have an iPhone 10. I have a new MacBook Pro. I have so many so many luxuries. And even though, like, I find myself very, like, when I don't do anything, or I'm just, like, by myself for a very long period of time, my mind goes into a very dark place, and I just get very lonely and very, like, sad. And it's weird, because I kind of feel selfish, you know. It's like, oh, you have all of these things. You have all of these things going for you. You have nothing to complain about, yet you're so sad. But at the same time, I realize that's okay. And the reason I say that is because that mentality is a lingering mentality from my family and my parents, which I think isn't a good one. Because, like, whenever I would sort of try to express any sort of emotion, when I was younger, they would say, like, oh, what are you upset about? You know, you have a roof over your head, you have a food on your table, you have a car, you have all this and that, which is completely true. I'm not saying that they didn't provide. They 100% provided my necessities and more than that. But I feel like that isn't good enough excuse to push aside any mental health issues. Now, if you know me, like, you know that I have, like, in my past, really, now I'm in a much better place, but in my past I have suffered with, like, mental health issues, mostly with, like, self-esteem kind of things, like, just, learning to like myself and like what I see in the mirror. And for those who really know me, and I guess if you really know me, you're going to be listening to the podcast, because otherwise no one really wants to listen to this. But like when I graduated high school, I weighed 180 pounds. I was like 5'7". So I was pretty chubby. I wasn't like fat. I wasn't like fat, but I was like pretty chubby. I wasn't like fit. And in the 3 months in between, actually no, it was like 2 months in between graduating high school and just that summer before starting college, I lost 50 pounds. And at that time, like, I was just making the excuse that, it's just a growth spurt, or it's just like, me, I don't know, finally going through puberty or something at 18, or something, and I lost all this weight naturally. But in reality, like, I was not eating, I was purging, because I just hated what I saw in the mirror and stuff like that. And I got to a point, right when I started college, I was like 145 pounds, which is 35 pounds like lighter than I was when I graduated high school. And that was in a very short span. It was like 2-3 months, and it was crazy. And the thing is, my parents, like, they saw that as a good thing, like they were never worried about me. They were like, oh good, he finally lost weight. Because unfortunately, like, growing up being chubby, my parents didn't really help me didn't push me towards a path that was a healthy way of losing weight. It was more like, oh, you're fat, you should stop eating, oh, you're fat. Like, they would make fun of me, like, oh, you're so fat. And so it just, in an attempt to, like, stop all of that and stop all of my I would hear it from them, and because I heard it from them so many times, I would tell myself the same things. I started to believe those things, and I started to tell myself those things, which was super unhealthy, and it led me to a very dark place where I didn't eat and I purged and stuff like that. And a lot of people were like, oh, like, what are you doing? Like, you look great and stuff. And I was just like, oh, I'm just, like, I'm working out, like, I'm just eating better and stuff like that. And I just remember, like, my youth minister was the only one who was genuinely worried about me, because he was like, you look like you have cancer. You look just sick. And honestly, obviously, thank God I didn't have cancer, but I was sick. And it's a miracle that I was able to overcome these things naturally. Of course I needed it, but I didn't seek help from a mental health professional, or I didn't even seek help from my church or anyone. I had to power through these mental health issues, and it's a miracle that I'm still alive. But that's something I don't really want to get into. It feels a little too dark. But then, thankfully now, like, I can look in the mirror and not hate what I see. Maybe I don't necessarily like it yet. But I think I'm on a good path. And I just, another important topic, I guess, is not to brush away mental health issues, or if you see the symptoms of a mental health issue, don't just brush it off as, oh, it's natural, or it's just being young, or it's just being, going through hormonal changes. No, like, even though that is a part of life, I think there's a different level of there's a line between, transitioning from a child to an adult. There's that, and then there's also serious mental health issues with self-esteem and stuff like that. And what I learned is, like, you truly no one will love you until you love yourself. And that's when I was, this past week when I was feeling so lonely and alone, and I just felt like I had no one with me. I just had to remember, you have to learn to love yourself before before you even start to expect that someone else is going to love you. And I don't mean necessarily like romantic love. I just mean just love, whether it's friends, family, and yes, of course, romantic. I have to learn to love myself. And I guess no one really cares about that. I guess everyone goes, or not everyone, a large number of people go through this, and a much more serious version of this. And what makes me special? I guess nothing. But I wanted to talk about it because no one really knows about this, and I haven't really gone that deep into talking about me, because I avoid talking about myself, because like I said, I don't like myself, or I do but not very much, and I don't like talking about myself because I find it narcissistic, and I find it just gross talking about yourself all the time. And I don't know. I guess I've been talking about myself for 10 minutes more at this point. But I don't know. I guess that was just the serious topic that I wanted to get out of the way. Just because, whatever. I'm not doing this with anyone this week. I'm at home right now. I was actually I recorded an episode of the podcast in the on the road kind of way. I did a solo episode when I was driving back home from Riverside to Orange County. But the sound quality was just awful, even worse than the first one. It was just clipping, and I don't know. I just had to delete it. It wasn't good. Yeah, there's some good stuff that I talked about, which I'll try to talk about again in this one, but it wasn't as good as it was bad quality. So I just had to delete it, which I didn't really feel that bad about anyway, because now I'm sitting in a comfy chair and recording this. But yeah. But other than that, other than the lonely feeling, I actually am very happy with my life right now. It's just, I don't know. Things are going in a very positive direction, and I've never had such a positive outlook for my life. And to transition, I hope if anyone's still listening, because I got into a very sad and dark place, and maybe people either try to skip forward or or just stop listening. I completely understand. But if you're still listening, I just want to give a negative, first one ever, a negative shout out because of something that happened today at work at McDonald's. And it's someone that I've mentioned on this podcast before, and it's Dakota Snow. I shouted him out a few episodes ago because he wanted a shout out. But this time it's a negative shout out because it was a little racist slip up, and it was funny, but also kind of fucked up at the same time, and we all laughed at it and whatever, and I didn't really care. But so what happened was, he was working the drive-thru. He was gonna take an order, and obviously the speaker comes on as soon as the car drives up to it, and before you even talk, you can hear them. They can start talking before you even start talking, and you can hear things that they say. And so he heard people talking in Spanish. And so he's like, Marcos, I don't speak Spanish. Can you take this order? You might need to take this order. And I thought he had already talked to them and they had requested a Spanish speaker. So I'm like, okay, because that happens and that makes sense. But this time, no. I'm like, ¿cómo le puedo ayudar? Which means how can I help you? And in perfect English, the lady starts oh, can I have 2 oatmeals and can I have a coffee? I'm like, so you just kind of assumed that just because they spoke Spanish, they couldn't speak any English, kind of fucked up. And I know it's not that big of a deal, but just in the moment I was like, yeah, fuck you, Dakota, because I was just so stupid. But yeah, that was just I just whatever, but but yeah, I mean, other than that, it was good. It was busy as fuck but I guess no one really want to hear about how busy it is at McDonald's, right? Like everyone really knows. One thing that I have been sort of like wanting to talk about though is, first of all, like Crazy Rich Asians. That movie I watched with my friend Evelyn. Shout out to Evelyn Ramirez. Last Saturday, I believe. And I wasn't really like, I had seen the trailer for it and like whatever, and I didn't expect too much of it, but like, hold on, I'm gonna have to cut it because someone's coming. Bye. Sorry about that. No one was coming. I just heard footsteps. But anyways, Crazy Rich Asians. I wasn't expecting much. It would just look kind of like just a fun like comedy. It was like parties and stuff like that. Like just showing off. But it was so much more than that. Oh my God! First of all, just to start off, this movie taught me 3 things. Okay, 1, I'm ugly, which, as you just heard, I kind of already knew that. 2, I'm poor. And even though you just listened to me saying I lived comfortably, I'm poor as fuck. Nothing compared to these motherfuckers. Crazy amounts of money. Just insane. No spoilers. But it's just an insane amount of money that they have. Holy shit. And 3, I'm never going to find love like that. Which kind of contradicts everything I just said about mental health, but it's just like oh God. First of all, the dude's super hot. So, like, no girl would ever look at me the way that they looked at that dude. Like, holy shit, the guy was fucking hot. And he was, like, sweet, and he was understanding. He was humble. Like, he wasn't, like, he's like fucking rich, but he didn't let that go to his head. He wasn't like a dick about it, and the whole joke about living comfortably, we were just, like, with my friend Evelyn, who I watched it with, we were like, when he said that, I'm like, I looked over at her, I'm like, I'm 100% sure you said that to me. Like, I'm not rich, I just live comfortably, and I was just it was really funny. But anyways, yeah, and it did make me cry, and it's just, oh God, because 100% what made me cry was the wedding scene. Holy shit. All right, this fucking wedding scene. All right, the church is decorated beautifully to look like kind of like a fairy tale kind of jungle, just very just mystical kind of place, right? Like the pews of the church were decorated with like tall green grass. It looked like when people were sitting, it just looked like they were standing in like tall grass watching the wedding happen. And then so the flower petal children come in, and the groomsmen and the bridesmaids or whatever, they come in, and then the music, which I know many people clown the "I Can't Help Falling in Love with You" song, because it's like, oh, it's just like whatever, like 21 Pilots did a cover of it, and it's just corny and blah 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 blah. But fuck you. Okay, that song is beautiful, especially the girl who sang it in the movie had a beautiful voice, and the way that they just structured the song was just gorgeous. Okay, and then so the song's playing, right, and then you see water start streaming down the aisle, and there's no spoilers. Okay, like, I'm just talking about it. If you don't want to like listen to the fucking wedding scene, whatever, I don't give a fuck. Spoiler alert, whatever. And so you see water start streaming down the aisle, right? And you're like, holy shit, it's carrying the petals with it. It just looks beautiful, right? And people look to the back, and then there's the bride, right? And as soon as, like, before she starts walking down the aisle, people have like all the guests or whatever have these little, like, I don't know how to call them, like vines or whatever, these little like green sticks with lights at the end that they look like basically like long green stem with a little petal, like a little flower head at the end or whatever, that was a light, and they like position themselves so like the petal of light would like shine over the aisle, right? So she starts walking, the amazing beautiful song is playing, everything looks gorgeous, her dress impeccable, all right? It's not white, it's not necessarily white, it's just like golden color, and it's just amazingly gorgeous. It's insane. And at that point, I'm bawling my eyes out, because I was just, holy shit. The song, the scenery, the the beautiful girl, the handsome dude. That's just like, it just, oh. And I don't know, what does that make me like a pussy or something? Like to cry over like an amazing wedding scene? I don't know. I'm sorry. But I don't know, dude, it was just gorgeous. It made me cry, and then like the just. And then the ending, I actually won't spoil that, but the ending was badass. Like, it was like badass, like woman, and which is full of, this whole movie is just full of badass women, which I love, and also badass, non-white women that hand racist white people their asses on a silver platter at the very beginning of the movie, and it's just fucking great. That just the first few seconds of the movie, you already love it. If you love clowning white people, or if you love clowning racist white people, just it's just amazing. But anyways, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. I don't know if it's still in theaters, because I watched it last week, and I mean, even though like the movie came out a while ago, like the theater was still pretty full a few weeks in, which was dope. So if you still get a chance, go fucking watch it. It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, shout out to Evelyn for going with me. That was cool. What else? What else did I want to talk about? Okay, another thing on Snapchat. Obviously, Snapchat is fucking dying. Okay, I literally use Snapchat to talk to one person, and it's Sierra. Here's your weekly shout out, Sierra. Other than that, I have like 3 other streaks, and just really like to people that I like really like care about. Like, it's, and these 3 people other than Sierra I talk to and I care about. I'm like, okay, let's keep a streak because it's cool, and you're cool, and you're like friends. And like, but other than that, like, I don't like, if you like, you can have up to like 8 best friends or whatever on Snapchat. Like, it comes to the point where if I send one snap to anyone outside those 4 friends, like, they automatically go to my best friends list. Just sending one snap, or like even swiping up and sending like a chat, they'll become my like one of my best friends. It's like, oh Jesus, that's how little I use it. And I remember like even like a year ago, I guess, like my story would get like, I don't know, 150 views, which I don't know, it's not that much, right? Like, people would get way more. I don't know that many people, dudes. Anyways, but now, like, I can't even like go past like 30. It's just like the people that I used to know, like, god damn, like, they just don't use it anymore, which is fair because it kind of died off. No one really uses Snapchat anymore. Like, everyone posts on their Instagram story. Not really. No one really posts like on their Snapchat story anymore. Or if they do, it's like the exact same post from their Instagram story. But whatever. So things are just dying off on Snapchat. But anyways, I go over to the far right menu, which is like where you would typically view your friends' stories, and there, for the longest time, there's always your friends' stories, people that you have on your contact list or whatever, and then like the corporate stories, like Vice and fucking E! News, Barstool Sports, whatever. But in like when you would scroll down, you would see all of those, but what I've seen recently is just random people, like random normal just people, and I guess maybe the algorithm recognizes that I'm a guy or whatever, so they only like, I don't know, promote or whatever, like these profiles of like just girls that post like very, I don't know, like scandalous pictures of themselves, like, very, provocative poses, obviously showing they're off their asses, their cleavage or whatever. And, everyone has the right to post whatever the fuck they want on the internet. It's their bodies, it's their account, they can do whatever the fuck they want. It's just really weird how it's people that I don't know, and they're not celebrities, and they're just coming up on my, like, that little, like, that feed or whatever. This is really weird. Like, are they, like, Snapchat models? Is that what it is? Do they get money for every view that for, like, the views that they get? That's fucking weird. It's really fucking weird. I'm like, just, what the fuck is going on? I don't know. It was just very strange. I was, like, scrolling down. I'm like, who the fuck are you? And just seeing, like, I don't know. It was really weird. They have the freedom to post whatever the fuck they want. I'm not trying to shame them for posting scandalous pictures, not at all. It's just very fucking weird about how that comes up on my feed when they're not in my contacts and they're not necessarily like big A-star celebrities, and they don't even seem to be like YouTubers or anything like that. Because sometimes like YouTubers can be like, whatever. I'm getting off track. It's just really weird. Whatever. Moving on from that. By now, most people have heard about the fucking Nike shit, with Colin Kaepernick, and how white people have absolutely lost their shit over it, because they think that when football players kneel during the national anthem, that's huge, it's being very much disrespectful towards veterans and military members, active members of the military and stuff like that, which I guess is very muddy waters to sort of talk about, because it's very polarizing. Either you do this, either you think one way or you think the other, and there is no in between, which is kind of fucked up, because I think there's more than just the 2 points of views. And I don't know. It's just, of course, I am on the side of Colin Kaepernick and Nike and stuff like that, because they, or at least, Kaepernick didn't do the protest of kneeling down from a malicious point of view. No, they did it 100%, or he did it, because he started it, to protest the alarming rate of all unarmed black men and women and children that are being killed by members of law enforcement, and no one seems to give a shit. No one seems to do anything about it, because these police officers are just getting off scot-free. Nothing's really happening to them, And I guess all I really need to say is, this is a post I saw on Facebook. I don't really go on Facebook that often except to clown myself, as you saw, if you ever even fucking listened to the other, the first solo podcast I ever did, when I just talk about my zany Facebook posts. I do that, and sometimes I'll just scroll the feed, and everything's really stupid most of the time. But this is some dude posted, and it was a picture of him standing during the national anthem, standing next to Colin Kaepernick during the national anthem while he's kneeling, and he said, "I stand to honor the promise that the flag represents. You kneel because that promise has been broken. I stand to affirm my belief that all are created equal and to fight alongside you for that promise. You kneel because too few stand with you. I stand because we can be better. You kneel to remind us to be better. I stand to honor all that have fought and died so that we may be free. You kneel because not all of us are. I stand because I can't. I stand because I can. You kneel for those who can't. I stand to defend your right to kneel. You kneel to defend my right to stand. I stand because I love this country. You kneel because you love it too." And there has been so many arguments about this issue, especially on Twitter and just everywhere, just on the news, and nothing has perfectly summarized the whole point of the protest like that. And maybe, I don't know, does it sound cliche or something like that? Am I wrong? Is there something more simple or more straightforward? I don't know. To me, that sounded very much like the truth, and it's balanced. You're not, and it's not saying that if you do stand for the flag that it's fucked up, that it's, oh, you're a racist if you stand for the flag, but it's also not, you fucking hate your country if you kneel. It's a very balanced point of view, which is something that I agree with, That's all we have to say. Other than that, people, obviously white people, have taken it to such a fucking insane level where they are burning their Nike merchandise. They're cutting the Nike logo off of that said merchandise, and they're like, "Oh, Nike lost a customer." I can't talk, and which for one makes no fucking sense, because you already bought the product. You already paid Nike for those things, so you're not doing anything. You are destroying your own fucking property. What difference does it make? Two, if you are so adamant about defending the honor and of veterans and military members and trying to respect them, that's fine, of course. but instead of burning them, donate them to fucking the alarming number of homeless veterans that are in this country because they cannot get a job, because when they come, like, they're suffering from so much mental health problems, PTSD and stuff like that, that they can't find stability in a job, and they find themselves homeless. So stop being fucking children and burning your goddamn clothes and your shoes and shit like that, and donate them if you don't want them. Like, it makes no sense. You guys are such hypocrites. You're just trying to show how fucking ignorant you are about real issues. God damn. And I know, like, I'm sorry. I know typically, like, this podcast, or like, we try to be funny or whatever, and maybe, like, this one has definitely been way more serious, which I understand. Like, I just have these things to talk about that are just in my mind, and this was a very serious topic, and I was just like, oh, I don't know. And, like, there's some, like, places of employment that have banned the use of Nike merchandise, which is so fucked up. Like, honestly, what the fuck? Like, you're really gonna, oh, I don't know. I don't really know what to say about that, because, I'm not a store owner, I'm not a business owner, so what the fuck, do I know? But I don't know. To me, that's just really fucked up. Whatever. Another thing, I guess, on a lighter note, if you're still listening, probably not, but on a lighter note, so I saw these videos on Twitter, and the one that I, like, loved the most was David Dobrik's. It was, like, the prank on a kid, making them think that they're invisible, and kind of, like, freaking them out to the point where they're crying. This shit's fucking hilarious. Like, if you watch David Dobrik's vlogs, like, he did it to Vardon. It was, like, one of the chubby Armenian kids. To be honest, I haven't been watching him for that long, so I don't know how. I think they're just friends. He's just friends with that family. I don't know if there's any, like, familiar. I don't know. Probably not. But to my knowledge, he's just friends with that family. So, like, he got everyone in the family plus, like, a bunch of friends in on it, and so they pretended to, like, sit the kid down on a chair, and they put a sheet over him. They said some words. And they all were in on the joke, pretending that he'd actually disappeared. And, like, he freaked the fuck out. He just started crying. He's like, oh my god, David, mom, Junior. Like, holy shit. It was so fucking funny. And, and, like, I don't know, it's funny, but also kind of, like, so sad, because, like, the kid gets genuinely scared. And they took it to the level where, like, they're like, oh, because they obviously couldn't say that they couldn't feel him touching them, because he could touch them and obviously push them and stuff like that. So they can't explain that, but so they would obviously say, oh, I can feel him. So like, oh, take a picture with me, and I have, like, him in my arms. And they had taken a picture before where there was no one there, obviously. And then when they showed him, like, the picture, like, oh, fuck, they're not there. And then the person starts freaking out even more. The kid starts, like, just bawling his eyes out. It was crazy. So fucking funny. But that one was hilarious. So go check that out on David Dobrik's channel. But also, like, I saw this one that Flan showed me, and it was like a Middle Eastern family, and they did it to, like, I think the dad or, like, the grandpa or whatever. And instead of, like, freaking out when everyone was, like, pretending that he was invisible, he just starts, like, slapping the shit out of everyone. It was so fucking funny. Instead of, like, freaking out, he's like, fuck you, he starts slapping. Oh, that was so fucking funny. Oh my god. Oh, that shit was hilarious. I don't know. Those pranks are funny. And I've seen, like, a lot of those. Not a lot. I've seen, like, a few of those on Twitter, and they're all pretty good. And I kind of wanted to do, like, a sketch. I guess I'm just going to ruin that idea. Whatever. I want to do, like, a sketch where, like, I get together with, like, my friends and stuff, and we do that, and instead of, like, someone freaking out or, like, even hurting anyone, like, they just start, like, rummaging through shit and, like, stealing, like, going through people's wallets and just taking money. I don't know. I thought that'd be funny. Maybe, like, I think executed well by someone who's actually smart and funny could do that well. I'm not smart or funny, so maybe I would just fucking kill that. But I do have a video idea that I'm currently, like, it's currently in the works that I'm going to do with Evan, Flan, and Tarek. That's all I really want to say about that. I'm really excited for it. Hopefully everything goes well. But anyways, and one last topic that I wanted to talk about, and it's 21 Pilots. and I came to my mind when I was talking about the whole "I Can't Help Falling in Love with You" song. During like the discussion of Crazy Rich Asians, and first of all, I want to say fuck you if you make fun of anyone who listens to that music just for listening to it. Though it's 100% justified if you make fun of someone for taking that fandom to the whole another cringy fucking level, because they do that. And I guess I 100% used to be someone like that, and I'm like ashamed 100%. I'm not like embarrassed to say I'm ashamed to have been that kind of fucking cringy. But to say to be the truth, oh my fucking goodness, I'm so stupid. To tell you the truth is, it's not like there's nothing wrong with their music. It's just the fans really fucking ruined it. They made it so cringy to be a fan of 21 Pilots, and it's just because the way that they would someone would. I mean, obviously every band and every every artist is gonna have his or her critics or their critics, and people would just criticize their music or like make like a joke out of it, and then they would go crazy like, oh, you don't understand these lyrics, it means so much to me, like you can't just say things, and it was just like, oh god, it was just so cringe. And I used to be one of those people, and until I was like bullied out of listening to not only their music but all music altogether. Like, it was actually a bit after my whole bulimic episode after during my first year of college. I had stopped doing all that stuff, but I was still listening to this depressing ass music because I honestly I love the lyricism. I love the style of music. It wasn't really rap, but it also really wasn't rock. It was kind of just somewhere in between. That just gave them a unique sound, which I enjoyed, and I enjoy the lyrics. And Migraine is like one of my favorite songs, still continues to be one of my favorite songs. And I'm saying this like years later, where I can now listen to them, like obviously by myself, because there's still people just are assholes and 21 Pilots fucking sucks. Like, it's one of my guilty pleasures to listen to like that fucking to their songs. But Migraine is like one of my top 5 favorite songs ever, along with I don't know, I also really like Car Radio, which I guess a lot of people know, and Message Man from Blurryface. And I do admit the whole Blurryface thing was kind of cringe, like the whole making up that persona or whatever. But my point is, like, the fans ruined that band, not their music. There was nothing wrong with their music. You can make an argument against the fans of every single artist, every single mainstream artist, but the 21 Pilots one, it was like a new level of cringe. It was like a new generation of the My Chemical Romance kind of fucking people, where they were just, oh, I'm different, I don't listen to pop, I don't, I'm different, it's just different, I don't know how to I don't know. It's just like, this is real music. It's helping me. Thank you. I don't know. I'm sorry. This was really bad. It was like a new generation of those kids, and it was just so fucking annoying. And I can see that. And being one of those people, I can see how fucking cringe and annoying that is. But just my point is, there's nothing inherently wrong with their music. It's the fucking fans that just made it so unbearable to even just fucking think or to talk about 21 Pilots. And now that they're coming out with new music and I think a new whole album, and they're gonna go on tour, it's just gonna make it so much worse. The fans are just gonna be the same or even worse. I don't fucking know. I do like their songs. It's still, it's kind of hard to listen because so many people made fun of me, and because of that, I didn't want to deal with that ridicule anymore. So I just stopped listening to 21 Pilots at one point. I think it was during my at that point it was the summer in between first and second year of college, and I was just that was the only music I listened to. So I was over it. I'm not listening to anything. For the longest time I didn't listen to any fucking music. And I know, that's so sad. Fuck off. I just don't like anything else. But whatever. I got eventually I got back into Arctic Monkeys. Arctic Monkeys is a band that I've loved for years. I got into them before even AM came out in 2013. And yeah, so I eventually got back into them. And if you know me, you know I have 3 of their like vinyl records like on my wall, which is so fucking dope. And I love their music to death. And I finally got into finally not like I got into other music. Like I can like listen to rap now, like hip hop, like whatever. Like I don't know. It's like my music taste has expanded. But I just always saw how fucked up it is that like people would bag on 21 Pilots music when it wasn't necessarily their fault. It was just the fans that made it cringy to be associated in any way with that band. And the one thing though, like that I miss from those days is just the friends that I had during that time. And I guess is kind of like the topic I'll wrap up this week's podcast. Just in the spirit of being sad, I'll give you like a saddish kind of story. And not really sad, it was just kind of me being truthful with myself and with everyone listening. So like during the time that I was really into 21 Pilots, which like again, it was my first 100% like in my first year of college, and I had a certain friend group that we all met at our church that were really close, and we all loved the same thing. We were all into the same things, and 21 Pilots was the pinnacle of our shared interest. Everyone loved 21 Pilots in that group, and as time went on, I lost every single one of those friends, and they are all still friends with each other. So you can only come to the conclusion that there was probably nothing wrong with them. It was my fault. Even though for one specific person, I'm not going to name any names, a certain person told me in a very detailed way what was that caused the deterioration of our friendship. And I don't necessarily agree with that. And neither does basically everyone that I talk to about it. But you know what? That person said, I just don't want to be your friend anymore. I don't want you in my life. I have much better people in my life. And that's why I just had to let that person go. Because if she honestly felt that she had better people in her life that were much better for her than me, then good for her. I'm not going to... If she felt that I was toxic towards her, then I wasn't going to force her to be around me, because I wasn't going to be the toxic friend. And then I had to take a step back and just see, like, maybe it wasn't to the level that she claimed to be, but maybe I was toxic. And slowly, like, all of those friends took her side, and I've lost all of them. And I miss them. Because that was the closest I felt with like a group of people ever. I felt close with individuals, like I feel close with certain people, like individuals might mean, but not like an entire group of people, if that makes sense. And I did with them, and I just feel really bad because of just how I think I behaved that made them not want to be my friend anymore. Which, I don't know, just saying, like, not want to be my friend anymore, it sounds very high schoolish, which I agree. But for me, like, just having people in your life that care about you and that are willing to spend time with you and just listen to you and be with you, that's super important. I don't know, maybe I'm just stupid. And I know I said I'm not naming any names, but I 100% don't think that anyone from that friend group is listening. But if you are, I'm sorry. I miss you, and I hope you all are doing great. I'm doing pretty good, so I'm sure you guys are too. Wow, this fucking episode is so fucking sad. I'm so sorry, and I'm sorry for using the F word so often. I really need to emphasize how sad this episode got, or serious. But yeah, I guess that's all I really had. That's all I really have to say for this week. I'm sorry that it wasn't funny. I'm sorry that it was more serious, and honestly, I doubt that anyone's still listening at this point because it's boring or sad or whatever, but that's okay. In 2 weeks, I'm going to have to do another solo episode next week, or maybe I'll skip it. I don't know. Because I'm going to be in Orange County next week. I'm not going to go back to Riverside until the 24th or the 23rd, like that night. Because like that's the week I start school. Oh, it's week 0. I start school the following Thursday. So I'm obviously just gonna permanently, go back to Riverside at that point. And that's probably when I'll get a chance to record with Tala again, and probably some other guests, probably Tarek or Evan or even Flan. Finally get Flan on the podcast. Yeah. Well, if you're still listening, thank you. Everything that you need to know about me was said in the last 50 minutes. Every significant thing, at least, that has really shaped who I am right now, mentally and emotionally. And hopefully I learn to love myself. And maybe then I can realize I can step into a whole new realm of happiness and contentment, and I don't know, just being happy with who I am, rather than just spending all alone time being depressed and wondering if anyone actually cares about me. But whatever. Thanks for listening. Again, sorry that I got so sad, but you know what? Maybe sad once in a while isn't that bad. All right. Later, guys. Thanks.